Have you guys been seeing what the UK and Ireland are doing for PlayStation now too?
No?
No? Alright, well there's a short here that's gonna let you explain everything, and then we have some articles too.
If you're in the UK and you own a PlayStation, get ready to verify your age. Sony has confirmed that from June 2026, UK and Ireland users will need to verify their age in order to access core social features on PlayStation. This covers party chat, voice communication, messaging, and even some in-game systems tied to interaction and user-generated content. If you want to talk to your friends while playing games, you'll need to verify who you are first. What's notable is how quickly the framing has shifted in 8 months. The government isn't even hiding behind the banner of protecting children from harmful content anymore. We are now extending this into everyday communication. We've already seen similar systems rolled out on platforms like Discord, and the results haven't exactly been smooth. People will worry about where their data is going, how it's stored, and whether it's actually making anyone safer. But despite those concerns, more and more companies are moving in the same direction because of pressure to comply with the new rules. The part that gets lost in all of this is what it means day to day. For a lot of people, especially younger players, gaming isn't just about playing games. It's where they hang out, and it's how they talk to their mates. Putting barriers in front of that, even with good intentions, makes it harder to connect. It's easy enough to say, well, kids should go outside more, but if the infrastructure isn't there for them, where are they supposed to go? When something as simple as chatting to your friends starts requiring verification at every turn, it changes the whole social dynamic, and when it inevitably has a long-term negative ripple, I wonder who the government will blame.
That's kind of crazy. Arch, your first thoughts after hearing that?
Again, inevitable. This is, What we've got to realize is that the internet that we had was always going to be temporary. All things are when the government is involved. They will simply chisel away one freedom after the other until there is nothing left, and we are left standing there wondering how the hell we got to this. And, I mean, I don't even think there's a fix for this anymore. It seems to just be the nature of governance. As even if you push back against it once, like with the Discord thing, for example, they put it on the back burner for 6 months, then they announce it again, people don't react as strongly, they get it through. People still attack as strongly, 6 months more. Just kind of keeps going. I've almost kind of given up on this, and I'm just waiting for it to get so bad that people will reset all of it now.
Basically the same take as Arch, honestly. He brought up the fact that they keep on having referendums on it. That's how the EU handles their regulations. Just, if the people don't vote for it, they try again, over and over again. They're trying to bring all this censorship into the United States as well. Like, this is a whole global initiative that they have here where they want to regulate everyone. The UK is just the beginning of it because of their political system and their parties and how they're set up. But the EU is just as bad. Australia, New Zealand are just as bad. Canada, and America's like the last bastion, you could maybe argue, because our culture is so different compared to the other more European-based, part of the Commonwealth. Well, technically, the EU is not part of the Commonwealth, but you know what I mean here. European sensibilities. But even still, there is that push within America itself. This is not something that can be solved by simply just talking about it online and just simple voting. But it's gonna take a long time to just get there, and we can only just do our best.
What I thought was interesting at the very last bit of that short was he mentioning how, kids should just go outside and play. But then there's a really great comment here. It says, kids should go outside more. Have you built more safety crossings, parks, and given parents more time and support with the kids? No, we're just forcing everyone to give us their personal details for free.
Why
That
would
is so
okay,
true.
As a British citizen, let's be realistic here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we know, look, you can censor their speech, anything, and I'm speaking as a Canadian, I see it here as well. They are very limp-wristed. They're not going to stand up to their government. The point of time that they should have stood up to their government was finding out that for over a decade, there have been rape gangs that are capturing their children. That is the point in which you would have stood up. They're not going to stand up to PlayStation chat censorship. So when we talk about go outside, what sensible adult sends their child outside in the UK? Honestly speaking, what person in the UK feels safe to go outside, let alone letting your children go outside? So the fact that this person was doing the touch grass argument just pissed me off to no degree. It's like, really, we're gonna cry over Sony censoring, which I'm fully against, for the record. We all know this. I'm fully against chat censorship. I love Call of Duty lobbies. I'm just saying, if Britain wanted to stand up, the point was when you found out that your daughters and sons are getting raped and your government doesn't care, and they continue to import the people that are doing it to you.
And they cover it up, and then the police also cover it up in the UK. Like, it's all just one happy-go-lucky thing. And
I'm an
it's happening here,
Anglophile,
too.
so I will defend my British, my British friends here. In the UK's defense, they have voted for the right-wing party for decades now, over and over, and have voted constantly against immigration. In fact, like conservatives who were in charge for 14 years, they kept on selling people lives based off that too. And then part of it was Brexit, though that was mostly against the EU and their importations, which was only handled by name only. And then Boris brought in more, which is why it's called the Boris wave in the past 5 to 6 years. But the people have constantly voted against it. It's just that to do the extreme action of not voting, that is something that the Western world has not been able to support because it's violence, right? Like it's taboo to support violence for good reason. And so it's like, okay, so you just got to keep on voting your way out of this. And that's exactly what they've tried to do every single time. The only reason why Labour won is because nobody voted. If I remember correctly, because this was a couple years ago now, the statistics for how many people showed up was like 33% of people voted or something like that. A third of the country did. And it mostly was the Londoners so that's going to be where the Labour stronghold is, as well as the immigrants. It's people have kind of given up from the voting aspect, but now they do at least have Restore Britain, and that should bring the change at least in 2029, which I do firmly believe is their last chance. And if Restore Britain can't get in with Rupert Lowe, then it probably will turn into a non-voting answer.
That's bleak. Hooray!
It's 100% correct, sadly, and you're extremely knowledgeable. That's very well put. I think people need to hear all that. And the thing is that simply on YouTube, we cannot say what the real solution is. That is all it is at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I think people understand what that solution is. We are all put in a position that we can't say it on a platform like this.
Well, actually, here's the thing. Firstly, the turnout was 60%, so it wasn't actually that big of a deal. It was a drop of like 8% odd. But that, I do believe, is actually the non-voting solution. The 0-seat push in the UK was a brilliant example of the populace actually rejecting the conservative fake alternative, which at that point, of course, the Conservatives were literally run by Rishi Sunak at that point. So the Conservative British Party is run by, in essence, an Indian. And now there's Rupert Lowe. Now, if Rupert Lowe also fails, then, we can look for further alternatives. But what's that? Restore? That was Restore, yes. The R words. They need to stop it with the goddamn R words. It's risen to like 9% in the polls in a couple of months. I am not going to get completely blackpilled yet. We'll see.
Phoenix, you got anything?
I'm just going to go back to the well that I always go back to. Is like everyone talks about politics and stuff, and I'm the culture guy, right? Everything goes back to culture. And if you have a sick culture, you have a sick society. And I've been saying this for decades. No one did anything, and so you have the feminization of an entire population. Men have become extraordinarily weak. So you're hoping that older generations save your ass. No one's going to do that because your youth is lost and captured. No one did anything about that. I will always say that the fix is not politics. The fix and the solution is in culture. If you change the culture surrounding you, then you get things back like having love for your country, having love for your culture and your ways and the religion that you have and the holidays and festivals that you have. But when you let that fester and you ignore it and you just let it be captured by this entity out there, you get this. And so you're seeing everyone's will just kind of plummet down and everyone looks lost and confused because the culture is gone. You're seeing a culture being eroded and erased everywhere you go. And what do you know it? The politics follow through at that. And you're seeing now what feels like this authoritarian grip come down on everybody. So for me, the solve to all of this is fix your culture first. Everything will be remedied after that.
How do you fix your culture when you're getting steamrolled by third world country mentality? I'm genuinely asking. This is not confrontational. I just, the amount of flooding we get of other cultures, how do you actually fix your culture when you're overwhelmed?
You got there because of a sick culture. If you are a proud culture, you wouldn't have never let that happen. You would have never let anyone put a different flag up. None of this would have happened. The culture got extremely sick. Everyone got too wealthy, too successful, and everyone stopped parenting, stopped checking in on things. They didn't encourage their kids to go into the arts. They didn't encourage any of that stuff, and they handed it off to a regime, essentially, an agenda-driven regime, and so this is what you have. Sadly, you're going to lose now, but it's way, way too late to get this fixed. But you got to start putting it in now. That way, 200 years from now or 100 years from now, we can get this turned around.
I'm gonna partially disagree with you here, because I believe it's political first, then cultural that has occurred. It's been imposed upon the whole entire Western world since the end of World War II. That has done, like, it's ever thanks to a funny mustache man. It's not okay to be white. Like, being proud of your country, being a nationalist is considered bad. Enjoying your culture is considered bad and taboo. And that's mostly from the political shift from the top. In America, more specifically, it's the 60s that really started ramping this up with the civil rights, the Hart-Celler Act, and various other things to disenfranchise white people specifically, to uphold minorities and women because they were seen as oppressed. But women didn't vote to go in the workforce. They were actually strongly against it, but it was once again opposed by the politicians. Same with like the civil rights, that was highly unpopular, but they were enforced by literally by gunpoint for desegregation. It's the politics that have forcefully changed the culture, which has turned it into what it is today. And now this is where the whole partial part comes in. I do think the culture is changing, at least on the online, as people are realizing that they've been lied to and the propaganda has been existing for the past 60 to 80 years. But that will be the change through that culture and that push. But that's more the people kind of rising and not against this liberal ideology.
I think we're using the wrong terms here across the board, because I think what you mentioned there at the end is the real root, liberalism, because this hasn't to do with whiteness specific, because this is an American view. White culture is not a monolith. Europe, America, even within America, etc. But all of our cultures have one thing in common, and that is that they're all based upon the fundamental principles of liberalisms, as culture is the foundation and we have politics downstream. However, liberalism does not have an argument against the ever more extreme view of liberalism. That's where our problems stem from. We cannot fix our culture because our culture is inherently weak to the argument of, but I just want greater liberties for more people. If anything, what we need is a full-scale reform of that liberalist fundament. Then build the culture upon that. Or simply just introduce a form of masculine liberalism. That would be the best way of preserving a culture, by simply saying, okay, no, our principles actually end here and here. Our liberties extend to us and our own and not to everyone.